Okay, class, I'm going to present a series of modules to supplement the discussions we've had throughout the semester, starting from the um, if you think about what we discussed in the early stage of semester, we were discussing the fact that we were going to cover an introductory level of understanding of the paradigms in research. We started with just the philosophy, going all the way back to idealism and realism. We moved forward, fast forwarded into worldviews and concepts dealing with ways of knowing. And specifically, we were talking about constructivism and positivism. Well, this particular module is going to focus on positivist approach to knowing, which is quantitative research. And again, this is a procedural way of understanding or knowing, gaining knowledge. So with that, let's move forward. Essentially here in this paradigm, there are three basic purposes to quantitative research, and that's to describe, to compare, and to attribute causality. As we go into the descriptive phase here, you can see reading the screen here that essentially you're trying to answer a question, what exists? In other words, you're describing what is out there. And you're doing that by assigning numerical values to variables. And these are either tallied or measured. And the goal here is to determine central tendency. And we're going to measure central tendency. And we're going to go into more detail later in this presentation. But for now, read the screen and understand that the basic measures of central tendency ultimately are things we're familiar with. We've seen this before, I'm sure, throughout our education. And mean, median, and mode. And if you read through the description on the screen, you can see that we're talking about average or middle score or most frequent number and a set of scores. Again, we're going to go into more detail throughout this module, but I wanted to get a broad stroke understanding of descriptive research. The others, again, are to compare and to attribute causality. Well, when you're talking about comparing, examining these descriptions of two or more variables to make decisions about the differences or about their relationships. That's a pretty simple concept to at least wrap our heads around for now. The third is to attribute causality, and we know that is experimental research. And really, the idea is so you can draw conclusions about the influence one variable has over another. It's essentially an if-then approach to gaining knowledge, to knowing. So it's algorithmic in that sense. The one particular variable will have an influence over another. And so, as you can read here that's essentially the gist of what we have on the slide. Quantitative research also, when we're dealing with the descriptive and comparative research, they may show static patterns and associations. But studies of these sorts cannot really say that variable or attribute that one variable or combination of variables does or does not cause an issue. Causality can't really be determined simply using these approaches. When researchers follow the plan for attributing causality, they have to establish that a particular variable may be the reason for a change in another, and that's experimental research. And this is really sort of a summary of what I just said to you in the slides previous to this one. And I'm going to end this module now, and we will go into then the descriptive research approach in quantitative research and spend some time focusing on that in the next module. I'll follow that again with the basic math that we're going to be using for measures of central tendency. So I will see you during the next slide, or rather the next module.